More talk, more fun, more laughs. The Lori Moore Show is underwritten by the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. Love where you live. It's time for the Lori Moore Show. Here is your host, Lori Moore.
Yesterday, we told you about a big party that's coming up Friday to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We're talking more about that today. The Disability Network Southwest Michigan Program Manager Michele McGowen joins us, along with Joanne Johnson, Systems Advocacy and Community Education. Welcome to you, both of you.
Thank you.
This was hard fought, as we heard. This didn't just happen.
No.
Tell us how it came about.
Boy, for decades, people with disabilities, disabled veterans, their allies fought for equal access and inclusion in America. And 25 years ago, President Bush, our first President Bush, signed the Americans with Disabilities Act.
What is the essence of it?
So the essence of the Americans with Disabilities Act is really about providing access and opportunity to everybody. Especially in the United States of America, we believe that everyone should have a fair shot. Well, our everyone includes people with disabilities. And to give people with disabilities a fair shot, they needed their civil rights recognized so that they could be part of all parts of our society.
And this is civil rights. This is something that don't people include this.
Right.
But that's what it is.
It is.
And it's more than a ramp,
It's
as
more
you
than a
said
ramp.
too.
Yes.
Accessibility. So what kind of things does it cover? It's very wide-ranging.
It covers everything in our culture.
Yeah.
It covers employment, it covers access to services, to goods, to government, to businesses, telecommunications.
It covers every place that's open to the public. So if people are part of the public and they go into a business, it covers that. It covers anything that's funded by the government. It covers anything that Again, it's all-encompassing. It's every part of our society.
My banking, going to a park, taking an art class, being in an art class with everyone and not in a segregated art class, not having alternative format at my bank, being able to get my bank statement in Braille, for instance, versus not having access to my bank statement the way everyone else does.
Is it evolving? Or is it set? You know, because it seems like even as we're talking today, I'm thinking about so many things that you don't think about. And I think that's how a lot of people are. It's like, well, thank you for pointing it out. Or, you know, that because people don't think about it. Does it change? Does the act change at all?
Well, in its foundation, the ADA was designed to be flexible with situations and with people. It wasn't designed to give people a hard and fast rule, you must do this and you must do that. It was designed to create access in all kinds of environments, including environments that are still coming around, like our increased use of the internet since 1990.
That's right. Now, you both deal with compliance, you know, having people do as they're supposed to. What is the process there?
Well, unfortunately, there's no ADA police. It's Joanne and I and a couple co-workers here in Southwest Michigan. We can deputize you if you'd like at the end of the show.
What are some situations that you would encounter? Give us some examples.
Well, many times we encounter businesses who just don't understand that they need to make accommodations or that they need to be accessible to all people with disabilities. And so it's not so much that places don't want to be accessible or that they can't be accessible, it's that they didn't know how to make something accessible. For instance, if I'm going into a business and I'm asking them to assist me with getting groceries, it would be important for the business to know that it's part of their job to work with me and figure out how I can get my groceries and not just say, well, I'm sorry, you need to bring someone else in to help you.
Oh.
And individuals can call us at Disability Network and say, I'm having trouble getting an accommodation, either at work or in the community, or a business or a government entity could call and say, hey, we've had a request for an accommodation and we're not sure what to do. Can you help? We provide assistance to both groups of people.
You know, a lot of people think of, you know, the doors and the ramps and the parking spaces and that kind of thing. But you were explaining to me there's a lot of things related to work and policies that need flexibility.
Yeah, oftentimes flexibility is also about the way we do things. So it's not only the way we build things, but it's our processes and our procedures and our way of interacting with each other that we might need to accommodate.
A lot about dignity, too. I imagine before this was in place, you know, people felt rather helpless when they weren't being heard.
Sure. People have been asked to leave restaurants because they've made people feel uncomfortable before the ADA. Yes. People have been told they couldn't have housing because they didn't want a child or an adult with a disability in a housing complex before the ADA. People have been told, oh, well, we've tried a deaf person or a person in a wheelchair in this job once and it didn't work before the ADA. And now our community has to stop and say, well, I've made some assumptions that our culture has about disability. Now I need to at least try, the official language is an interactive process, have a dialogue with a person with a disability and see if I can't be more flexible. Some places have policies that say you can't have food or drink at your workstation, and that's a general rule. But as a person who has diabetes, I might say, you know, I do need to have food or drink at my workstation in case I need it as an accommodation. That's an easy accommodation. It's a free accommodation, but you'd be surprised at people saying, nope, that's our rule. We don't change that. And so it's about being flexible in the way we do things.
As we talk about the all-encompassing law policies, is there a definition for disabilities? I mean, you said that it deals with many. So what is the definition there? Or is it impossible to do?
It's a substantial limitation to a major life function?
Yes. Under the federal guidelines, it's a substantial limitation to the way that someone's body functions. And that can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be intellectual, it can be developmental, it can be cognitive, it can be mental health. And so when we're talking about disability, we're not just talking about someone with a disability that you can see, we're talking about people with all kinds of disabilities.
You know, you were saying that, you know, as you work on these compliance things, most people they want to do it.
Yes.
They want to. You meet some haters, you know.
Yep.
But for viewers, you know, that don't think about this and put their, you know, self in other people's shoes, what should they be thinking of, you know, to make life better for people with disabilities?
I think the one thing that most people can do is if you're not sure how to make your business accessible, you can reach out to organizations that do that, like Disability Network Southwest Michigan. You can also develop relationships and get to know people with disabilities who are usually happy to explain, oh, you know, this doesn't work so well for me. If you set it up this way, I could access your business or I could access your services a lot better. And so it's about reaching out to organizations and really developing relationships with people with disabilities that can share from their own experience how to make something accessible.
A great message. We have a party. We want to remind everybody about the party.
Woo!
It's coming up on Friday from 11 to 1 at the Disability Network office, 517 East Crosstown Parkway, and the entire community is invited to come and celebrate this big change. It's still pretty new. 25 years isn't all that long to have your civil rights.
That's right.
So thank you for telling us about it today.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Our pick of the day, Corks for Conservation, wine tasting, music, and animal presentations at the Binder Park Zoo. That's happening July 25th from 6 till 10. For tickets, call 269-979-1351. We'll talk about keeping your information safe online when we come back on The Lori Moore Show on your CW7.
You're watching The Lori Moore Show.